Welcome to episode 6 of the Rebel Rundown. We're going to have a bit of a monthly recap and then get into the brief history of CrossFit, talk about the history of CrossFit Soul Rebel and some things that we might be working towards in the future.
If we know what they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Hayley, Ben, if you don't know us, you probably do though.
Yeah, probably.
All right, cool. We've had a good few weeks. The last podcast we did was right before High Rocks. So that happened. It was pretty successful. Like pretty much everyone had a good time other than maybe Neil, but
Neil strongly didn't like it.
Yeah, but everyone else like really enjoyed it. I think he didn't enjoy it because he wasn't quite happy with the workout standards or the movement standards that a lot of other people were upholding. So yeah, you got to keep in mind it's not the CrossFit Open where people are being forced to squat to depth.
Well, they should be at least.
Yeah, but when there's like a million people there, like it's pretty
different. Yeah.
So anyway, well done to all you High Rocksers who completed it. I think I said this last time, but like you all should be proud of yourself and how much effort you put into training and also how you approached the actual weekend. Like it was pretty cool to watch you all on that like little journey. So well done.
Yeah, overwhelming positive feedback. People really got a kick out of it. And I think just the scale of the competition for a lot of people, they didn't realise how many people were going to be there and how sort of big and grand it was going to be. So I think that was cool for people to be involved in. And like I know Al was telling me about like the start where they're in like the tunnel and they start getting everyone fired up and stuff, which is pretty cool. And so if it's something you're thinking about doing next time, chat to some of the people that have done it, chat to the coaches. I think there's a lot of value in people doing it. If you're like Neil, where you're like super competitive person, I think you got to go into it with the right kind of mindset. That
it's kind of just for fun.
Don't necessarily treat it as a super serious competition. You can treat it seriously for your own merits, but when it comes to comparing, there's quite a few variables, not just the movement standards, like how busy your heat is, whether you have to wait for equipment or a judge or other things, and like I think how hard the runs are, if there's like a lot versus a little bit of people.
I think it was also quite like chaotic in regards to actually knowing like I know Andy and Maddie did an extra running lap, like you have to count your own laps and you got to go in and out in certain areas. So yeah, it's not like you don't have just a smooth sailing run every time. Like you can't guarantee that. So but basically everyone except for Neil said that they would do it again. So highly recommend for anyone who was sort of thinking about it.
Yeah, it was a great achievement for a lot of people that did do it, and they definitely had a much bigger buy-in to their training and how they were applying themselves leading up to it. So, heaps of positives.
Yeah. Another awesome thing that's been going on in the gym is we're coming to the end of our cycle, our strength cycle, and we are just seeing PRs like every freaking weightlifting session that there is. So just a few members to give quick shout outs to who have been super consistent, hitting PBs, just off the top of my head. Tegan's been smoking it. Erin, Genty, Suprate, she's been getting lots of PBs. That's just commitment. Mick, S, Sean Sini, Wendy's been getting lifetime PRs, which is awesome. Jordan, Byron, do you have any others? I don't want to leave anyone out, but these are just names off the top of my head.
There's lots, like Audrey coming back from elbow surgeries, getting back to some of her best numbers. Not PBs, but like she wasn't sure she'd ever get back to that point, so that's really cool. And there's too many people to remember in terms of
they're just ones PBs, that I've like seen multiple times hit like multiple PBs because I've been ringing that bell and those people are getting it right for them a lot. So, well done to everyone and keep it up. We've got testing week starting, not next week, it's the week after. So, I'm excited to see what people do for their ones because like all these PRs are like multiple sort of lift PRs and
I'm excited to see people's endurance PBs,
me too.
Like on the rollers, the runs.
And I think
the bikes, that's going to be cool to see.
A lot of people are excited for the next cycle to start too, like to get to sort of test something else and like work on a different a different like machine. So I think that'll be awesome. It's exciting.
Yeah.
What else? We've just been having some good vibes in the gym. Saturdays and Sundays have been busy. Yep, me and Ben have been taking every second one. Andy every 7 a.m. I don't know. It's good vibes on Saturday. You've been away for a bit.
Yeah, I've missed a couple, been away, but yeah, like overall, like we've had an awesome period in the gym with members attending and people getting results, and to have that occurring through the colder months, it's a really good sign, because if you can get through the colder months, you know, training consistently through spring and summer is much easier, and you're all setting yourself up for lots of continued improvement.
Yeah, it's been good. Next weekend we have All Stars. So All Stars is in Melbourne. It's at Thornbury Velodrome. So we have 4 teams. I'll list them off for you just so you guys know who's competing. And if you want to come down and watch, you know sort of who's there. So we've got the Soul Rebels, which is Steve Harvey, Stephen, Erin, and Kate Lewin. We've got the Swole Rebels, which I did not come up with that name. That was not.
I'll take credit for that. Yeah.
Bit lame, but whatever. Haley, Ben, Sean Sini, and Al. We have the Soul Rebel Burpee Brigade. Bit of a tongue twister, that one. Which is Ish, Brendan, Lizzie, and Grace. And then Neil Fletcher. His team is called the Rebels Without a Moderately Aggressive Cause. I don't even know what that means.
Rebel Without a Cause is like an old school movie.
Oh.
So he's spun the name off of that.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why. Moderately aggressive.
It's pretty funny.
But,
but their team is Neil, Grange, Elise, and Tegan. And I'm excited to watch them because they've been practicing and they've got some good outfits.
I'm excited to hear the announcer
Yes.
announce that team over the loudspeaker.
Yeah, it's pretty good. But anyway, it should be a good weekend. Some other stuff that's happened. Nate ran a marathon on the weekend, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
He's been, if anyone knows Nate, you see he's like on day 200 of his running streak this year, and he was in here on Sunday and he'd just been for a 5K run the day after he ran the marathon. So well done, Nate. And then this weekend is Run Melbourne, which I believe our only members are Winnie, Byron, and Chiwen. This is definitely Chiwen's first half marathon, which is awesome. Like, I'm super excited to see how she goes, because I just remember her last year. I was like trying to convince her to do the Eltham 5K, and she's like, "No, Haley, I can't do it. Like, I can't run 5K. Like, that's way too hard." And I was like, "You can do it. Like, just show up." And she was so nervous. And now she's running a half marathon. So I think it might be Byron's first half marathon too, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, running's got real popular this year. It's
Yeah.
kind of, that fun run kicked off a big kind of growth in people wanting to pursue endurance stuff. And I personally think it's awesome. Like, I haven't really done much of that stuff myself. But like, just for people to have something that helps keep some accountability and you know, gives them some direction and something to focus on, I think it's great.
And I think it's been good too, because like everyone's been doing it together, so they feel like it's, you know, they've got friends, like lots of them do like park run every week, and then they come and train in the 9:30 class after, or they'll go on other runs like with other gym mates, which is awesome, because I think that's like, it is something, if you're not used to it, that's a bit out of your comfort zone. So good on you guys.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, I think that's kind of it for our update. Let's get into a brief history of CrossFit. So we put out to the members as to what they sort of wanted to hear. And Neil, you're like the star of this podcast. He wanted to know a little bit more about CrossFit and what the history of CrossFit was, and how it has sort of helped to shape Soul Rebel. So, what's the history of CrossFit, Ben? You're older than me. You know more.
I'll do my best.
I've got some stuff there.
Yeah. So a guy named Greg Glassman came up with the idea, and he was a guy who was an ex-gymnast, amongst some other things, and he became a personal trainer and started training people, I think out of his garage, and then ended up getting a fitness space. And he kind of wanted to define fitness. Was one of the things that I think he got sort of started with, was like, how do you actually define fitness? Because he found that, you know, what was out there wasn't very descriptive. It was kind of like, oh, fitness is your ability to run. And it's like, well, there's a lot more to it than that. So he started sort of piecing it together and coming up with his own prescription of what fitness is or should be. And he came up with the 10 elements, and he came up with this idea that it should be your ability to perform at high intensity across broad mode and modal domains and movements. And so basically you should be able to like lift heavy, run long distances, move your own weight, move external weights, and do that over short, moderate, long durations with mixtures of everything in there. Because, you know, if we look at things over history, most people would really skew themselves to one area, maybe two, but you know, you'd have like your endurance people, you'd have like your bodybuilders or your powerlifters doing strength work, Olympic lifters, and then you got your gymnasts who are like freaked with their body weight, calisthenics, etc. But you wouldn't have a lot of crossover going on. And so that's kind of where he started to be a little bit different in the fitness space. And it wasn't like, you know, bodybuilding, you could have some people doing like their back and bis and chest and tris routines, and then they might chuck in some running. But that would be it. They wouldn't mix it all together. They weren't necessarily training for performance. It was more about aesthetics. And so, yeah, what he sort of started to do really kind of became an outlier in the fitness space at the time, which I think was in the early 2000s. And probably by about 2007, it started to like actually get well known, and you started to see affiliates popping up around the world. So probably, by 2005, it was probably really getting going in the States, and it wasn't just him doing it out of his own gym. He was getting it, you know, starting to certify people and have others start to do it. And so I think the earliest affiliates in Australia probably were around, you know, 2005 to 2007, they started to pop up. And then, it had a really, really aggressive growth from probably 2007 through till about 2020 or something. And I think it's probably like backed off a little bit now. There's still plenty of new gyms popping up and stuff as well, but the growth has definitely kind of neutralized. It's stable now. So and a large thing that has pushed that has been the exposure of the CrossFit Games, which I think started in 2007. And by 2009, it really started to become like a legitimate, like global event where you would be getting people from Europe and Australia and other countries coming to compete. Early on, it was more like the Americans, because that was where it was founded and where they had plenty of participation. And I think from memory, you didn't have to actually qualify in 2007. It was just like you just turn up and sign up and do the event. And
what I heard, like on the Spartan podcast or something, like they were saying that because they used to put the workouts on like CrossFit.com, just put a workout of the day, and then people would comment, like kind of how we have a leaderboard, they would comment their times on CrossFit.com, and they would like try and beat each other, and then they basically were like, oh, well, anyone just come and compete. So it was just all the people who would put their times on CrossFit.com, like they just went out and they kind of did like a little in-person competition. Like it wasn't, you know, anything that it is now. Where you're doing qualifications
and you can
semi-finals.
See there's videos and stuff that's documenting it like back then. Like I think it's all on YouTube, so you can go and have a look and see how different CrossFit, like
they literally
it's the same, but it's very executed a bit differently.
And they literally did it at like, so Dave Castro, I don't know when he started like being involved, but he's like the guy who's still programs the CrossFit Games like now, but like those first CrossFit Games were just like at his ranch in like California.
I think until about 2010 they were there. So
so it was literally just like a little backyard comp that's now turned into this like massive thing.
Yeah, so that was a big driver, the CrossFit Games, in terms of getting a lot of exposure, eyes on it, people looking at it going, oh, what is this thing? I want to go and try that. But, I mean, look, its foundations are really entrenched in trying to improve general health and, you know, people's physical ability and longevity. Like, that's really where, you know, its foundations began, and the sports side of it is sort of, it's grown alongside it, and it's become a big focal point, but it's kind of not that wasn't the mission that
Yeah.
was set out with when it all began. So
And I think you see like all over, like you'll see different gyms sort of, it's like with how that sort of shapes our gym. Like I would say our gym is sort of shaped mostly around just like the general methodology of it and like overall fitness, like being able to do lots of different stuff for general health. Whereas like there are other gyms out there who just like focus on, you know, competition, like they're more competitive. Whereas, yeah, I don't know, I wouldn't say that we're like super competitive. Like a lot of people here, they don't even know what the CrossFit Games are.
yeah, I think like, look, even gyms that try and have more of a competition focus, it's always a really small percentage of their membership base. Like, you just don't have like that many people who are at a level and also have the time to be training like twice a day, 3, 4, 5 days a week for 2 hours each time. We're talking 10 plus hours, you know, 10 to 15 hours in the gym training every week. Most people just can't do that. So yeah, you do get a little bit of variety around that. But
yeah, majority of the gyms are just shaped around the general like health, well-being. I don't know what the, like, how you just describe
general
it.
health and fitness, like, like that's all it is, you know. And like even for our gym, that's 90% plus of our members while they're here. Like even people who are wanting to, you know, see improvements in their performance, like everyone really is, and there's degrees of that. You know, at the moment, you know, we've got one person who is sitting next to me who's kind of in that inside that top 1% in the world, you know what I mean? And to go to the CrossFit Games, you're in like point something of a percent of the total participants of CrossFit. So at a super that, you know, elite level, we're talking about a very, very small group of individuals. And then, you know, but we had how many, 15 or so people qualify for quarterfinals. You know, they're inside the top sort of 25% of people doing the open, but there's a lot more people
that don't
do the open. So we're probably talking about closer to like 10% their ability in terms of like you know, maybe even a little higher to a degree, because if we use our gym as an example, we don't even get like we don't have a quarter or half of the members participating in open. Some gyms get a lot more than that. But I'd say as an average, like maybe 30 to 40% of membership bases participate in the open. So, it's like vast majority, 90% plus, are like here for general health and fitness. They'll come and train 3 or 4 days a week for an hour. They love the community aspect of it. They want to lose a little bit of weight, get a bit better physical ability, and improve their longevity and their health.
Yeah, and they also just want to like be a part of a community. Like I think that's one other thing that I'm not sure if it's like a reason for why they started CrossFit, but it definitely is like a big part of it now, is just like the community aspect of CrossFit gyms. Like all the classes, all CrossFit gyms have classes. They all have like pretty tight-knit sort of communities where you know people, as opposed to like if you were to compare it to, you know, your 24-hour gym down the road, you know, you would have, I've been going to Bordermark every week and I've got no idea who a single other person in there is. I don't even talk to, like, I don't know the staff, I don't know anyone. Whereas here, like, you come in, the coaches know you, and then if you're new, like, it's only going to take a week before you know everyone's name in your class that you come to, and it's only going to take about 3 months before you pretty much know everyone's name at the whole gym. So, yeah.
Yeah, community is important. It gives people... a sense of like fitting in with something and camaraderie and lots of other benefits.
And it makes it easy to train too.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, I think I've sort of answered that to a degree.
Yeah. So what about our gym? So
our gym,
like when did you come across CrossFit? So obviously it started in like 2000, which is when I wasn't even born. When did you find CrossFit?
I came across it in 2009. Can't remember exactly at what point. And the CrossFit Games were pretty cool at that time. It started to definitely like really develop. And
how did you come across it?
I actually think I first came across it in like a men's health magazine. Which I'd occasionally buy, which like I don't think anyone buys magazines anymore, but we didn't have smartphones and like all the stuff that went along with that. I don't think back then, at least not not where they're developed to today. And they had like an article on like CrossFit, which was this like underground fitness thing. It was very non-conformal to like fitness at the time and very different. So I came across it there, and then I think I looked it up on. We had YouTube back then, and so found some videos on there, and I remember seeing like people doing kipping pull-ups on there, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like some weird shit. Because I was like very much in like, I wasn't like a bodybuilder per se, but that was how everyone kind of trained back then. And I was a personal trainer at the time, so I'd been doing that for a year or two, and so I found finding different fitness things interesting and looking at the different ways that people train, because I was always very into sports, and I got into training in the gym probably at the age of 15 or 16 to kind of supplement playing different sports, and wanted to build strength and stuff like that. And so my interest in sports and training had always been fairly strong, and I was getting to a point like training people doing like the bodybuilding stuff and chucking in some cardio. I was like, there's got to be something better than this. And mixed martial arts started to become a real thing back then, and I was quite into watching like the UFC, and I was like, these guys are like, they're jacked, they're fit as, like they're powerful, they're fast, but they've got good endurance. I was like, what the hell are they doing for training? And so I started looking into it, and they're doing like strength and conditioning mixed with like, powerlifting type stuff, flipping tires, slamming, sledgehammers into tractor tires, and throwing medicine balls, and, running and skipping. And I'm like, this looks way more fun. And if you can get that jacked and get really fit and athletic at the same time, like this is heaps better than doing the normal shit that everyone else was doing at the time. So that kind of sparked that, and I started to just look more and more into different things, and CrossFit kind of kept popping up in that space, and I was like, all right, I want to go just try this. And I didn't think I'd like it. I really was like, I don't think I like it, but I'm just going to go try it anyway, see something different, see what it's about. And the closest gym was in Fitzroy, so a little, 20, 30-minute drive away. And there was only about 5 affiliates in
CrossFit
Melbourne.
Victoria? Or...
Yeah, CrossFit Victoria. And when did their trial session, it was a one-on-one session, and we spent most of it just learning how to air squat. And I was like, I did that, and then we did like the Petronet, which we have done on and off through the years here with new people, which is a 500 meter row into 40 air squats, 30 sit-ups, 20 push-ups.
What was your time?
And 10 pull-ups. I think it was 5 something. I was pretty good. It was pretty quick.
Yeah, right.
And that was a lot due to the fact that I was already doing like a lot of that stuff in the gym already. And, I was pretty young and reasonably athletic. So, I did quite well. And the coach was like, oh, you did really, really good. But the thing that I took away from it was like, I've been coached for the very first time on fitness. I've been coached at sports and stuff, but I've never, having been in the fitness space for a couple of years, I've never had anyone actually come and like actually coach me. And I was like, that was really cool. Like that was the thing that actually made me go, I'm going to come back and start trying this. So that was at the end of 2009, did a trial, started 2010. I started training out there a couple of days a week, and within my first few sessions training there, they were like, hey, do you want to learn how to coach and become a coach with us? And I was like, yeah, for sure, definitely. So I took on like a trainee role, and that meant I could train out there for free, and I just had to like do some shadowing and then do some cleaning, and then they'd gradually teach me, how to coach. And so I did that. That lasted maybe like 3 or 4 months, and then they were like, cool, you can start doing a bit of coaching. But it was far away, and I was pretty busy as a personal trainer. I was a PT manager at a normal health club. I was probably doing 20 to 30, one-on-one PT sessions a week. I was running like boxing classes and
hustling.
stuff like that. So I was pretty busy and like getting there and back and doing all that. And so when I wasn't there, I was doing CrossFit training in a regular gym, which was a bit of a shit fest because you never had your own equipment and people just did not fucking like it or understand it. And so you had to look like a bit of a weirdo, even though if I walked into any health club right now, I guarantee you there's going to be a whole host of people you look at and you're like, what the fuck are you doing? But anyway, stood out like a sore thumb and kept that up. And it just got to a point, I started doing it with my own PT because I'm like, this is just way better, like teaching people how to squat, how to do pull-ups, how to deadlift, how to, lift weights properly and like train energy systems and not just focus on building muscle for aesthetics, was really cool. In that time, I actually hired Dan Mason when he was super young. He was probably like 18 or maybe younger even at the time. He was young, and I literally, like, the big thing that stood out to me was he was a gymnast at the time, and I'm like, I can learn stuff from you, so 100% come on board. And then he started teaching me how to do like bar muscle ups.
Wait, you hired him as like your coach?
No, as a trainer at the gym.
Here though?
No, at the
other
the
gym.
health club I was working at.
Yeah, right.
So that was, when I met Dan, that must have been probably 15 plus years ago now. And so, I hired Dan, and so we were doing like handstand push-ups and bar muscle-ups and all this sort of stuff. And that was great. So in the end though, it got to a point where I couldn't keep doing that out of the gym. It just wasn't working. Trying to do that with my own clients, it was just wasn't fitting in. And so I ended up looking at the option of starting my own gym. And like, I had the support of the people from CrossFit Victoria. They were happy for me to go and do that and happy to try and help me in ways that they could. So that was when I went and signed a lease for the building that we're in, which was about 13 and a half years ago now. And then started setting it all up and bringing my clients across. And I've grown up in the area, so people that I knew would come and jump in and try it out. Like Steve Harvey was one of those, who's still at the gym now. Lucy was one of my clients at the time he came across. So Lee Davis, who isn't a member, but he still trains me, he was a client that came across. And so, it was, big thing. I was 23 at the time and had absolutely no idea how to run a business, but I was passionate about coaching and CrossFit, and I was in a position where I could at least fit the gym out reasonably well. It looks nothing like it does now, and it had maybe not even half the amount of equipment for the most part. And the business was run very differently, but that was how it all started out.
How'd you choose the name?
How to choose the name? So
I remember asking Ben this like a few years ago.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah, choosing names for businesses isn't an easy thing to do. So I'm a big fan of Bob Marley, his music, and I was just like listening to music and like trying to think of a name, and he's got a song that's called Soul Rebel, and that came on, and it's certainly not my favorite song of his, but just I like the name of it, and I like sort of the message in it, which is very much about non-conformity. And CrossFit at the time was very non-conformal, and a lot of people didn't really, in my circle at the time, didn't really understand it, and it definitely felt like, I was pushing back against the norm to go and do this and set it up. And I think that, some of the messaging, that song about kind of, making internal decisions that were, kind of like spiritual calling versus like, succumbing to external pressures and expectations and things, kind of hit a bit of a note with me. And so, I liked the name. I liked how it sounded, and I liked sort of the messaging in the song that I got it from. So that's how the name came about.
It's a good name. It's just a bit random. I remember I then like put the song on and I was like, Okay.
Yeah, it's not his best song by any stretch,
Yeah.
but yeah, that is what it is.
Nice. How do you think the gym has evolved over time? So obviously, when you first started, there was less equipment, less members, this, that, whatever. Like, it's grown a lot. Like,
Yeah, well, I was the only staff member, so I literally ran every single class for the first probably at least 4 or 5 months, and then I had some trainees getting started and stuff as well, and so slowly, actually got a team of other coaches and employees around me, and that always evolves and changes over time. But look, a lot of the training is very similar. We're doing a lot of the same movements and things. Definitely the way that I program and stuff has changed a lot and evolved. We probably try and do a lot more now than training used to be a lot more simple back then. And that's definitely changed a little bit. We've also got way more equipment and variability and things that we can introduce. But the biggest thing is probably behind the scenes, how the actual business is run. You learn from a lot of mistakes that you make early on, just things you're not even aware of. I didn't, have business mentors or anything, which I wish I had of. Early days, and so a lot of it is more around creating systems, creating roles, responsibilities, accountability measures with all your staff, and trying to have the right people doing the right roles, and realizing that having a successful gym isn't just about trying to have a good setup and a good program and good coaching, but there's a whole lot more to it through that. If we want to develop community stuff, we have to have some community-based events, and if you look at a lot of the stuff Haley does, even now, we started doing the photos on SugarWOD. We never used to have SugarWOD. We didn't have an app for a long time, but photos of members, putting their birthdays up there, stuff like that. It does, that stuff's community-based building as well, very much. So that's something that's really, really new. And I started putting the photos up. I was like, all right, I've got to start using this better. And then that spurred her on to start putting the birthday hats on people.
We've been talking about birthdays and how to celebrate them for ages. Yeah. And then I was like, I'm giving Sean O'Halloran a birthday hat.
Exactly.
And now everyone gets one.
But even the podcast as well, the newsletter and
and
lots
just
of
social
different
media
things.
Too, videos of members sharing different achievements. You kind of get a sense of pride from, I was talking to Gonzalo on Sunday, he got his first bar muscle up and it was just beautiful. And so stuck video up on the Facebook page. Gonzalo's in the gym on Tuesday, and I'm like, did you guys see that? And everyone's like, oh my god, that was awesome. So it's pretty cool.
Celebrating members' achievements and telling their stories as well. This came up in our meeting the other day, but over the time we've done different little member features in different ways, and I was like, we need to get back to doing some more of those. So look out, members. We might pull you aside for a bit of a feature video, share some of your story to our membership base, and also people outside of that in our community too. But that's probably the biggest thing that's really, really changed is really kind of turning the place into a proper business. But I'm loving it now. It's there's definitely been different challenges over the years, and even now we've got a really challenging period coming up with Haley going on work placement, being a little bit short-staffed, and having to have a lot of variance in our schedules to cover everything and try and keep things going. But in terms of our coaches, our staff, our members, and where everything's at, I think we're doing as good as we've ever done. Well, in fact, we are, and I'm really, really enjoying being a part of it.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's a good place to be. And our members are just awesome, and everything we have going on at the moment is pretty cool. Which kind of leads on to, what do you see in the future? We were just talking about this before we started filming. Have you come up with anything?
Well, yeah. the last, like, since Katie finished up with us, like, that's kind of spurred on. And, like, we had some challenges coming up with staffing before that happened. And so since then, it's felt a little bit like I'm just kind of putting out spot fires at the minute, trying to come up with, short-term solutions to problems that are really longer term and just keep things ticking over as best we can. So longer-term planning and development and stuff like that's probably been a little bit on the back burner, but we probably need to get another staff member at some point. I'm just trying to get through this like next little period, and Al's doing awesome.
Yeah, she's been smashing.
We're wrapped with how quickly she's been able to come in and help out, and but she's also got a bunch of uni placement coming up, so she's going to be a little bit limited for the next couple of months too. But yeah, probably another staff member. Once things settle a bit, try
and just more fitness.
Find one there.
Like, I feel like it's like with the program stuff, we talked about a few months ago, is like, we're constantly evolving like the program, and, we're only like one block into that. Like when Ben planned it, he came up with 4, like a periodization for like the whole year. So we're one block into that. So you'll continue to see changes in our programming over the next year. We'll come up with different community events. Like we're definitely going to, get some more sort of in-house comps going on, challenges, more social events. Just, nothing like crazy out there, but we're just going to keep doing what we're doing, evolving as we go. We kind of look at everything like, a couple months.
Yeah, look, we look further ahead than that, sometimes
on a smaller scale.
Yeah, and like what Haley's saying is true, and I never sort of look at things and just go, oh, that's sorted now. Like we don't ever have to adjust or change that. Yeah. It's perfect. I like to work on something, give it time, and then reflect on it, and then go, okay, how can we is there ways we can make this better? And we had a meeting just on Tuesday with Andy and Haley and myself, and basically sat down and looked at a few key areas of the business and went okay, let's each come up with one thing that we think we can either improve or introduce something new and implement that, and then let's review it, and then depending on where all three of us, what we come up with, that'll give us some things to keep moving forward on. So it's a constant evolution where I'm always trying to find ways to make, training fun, interesting, challenging, progressive. Yeah. All those sort of things. We listen to member feedback and we chat to our coaches regularly, as well as trying to improve all of us as coaches, whether it's technical staff or just also finding ways to, learn more about our members and create better relationships and rapport and all those sort of things. So, constant evolution, I think. Yeah,
I'm excited. The gym just even since I've been here, it's changed so much within 2 years. So, it's just crazy how different it can be, and it just keeps changing and getting better, which, it kind of has to, because people just change and evolve over time, and we'll just keep it up, and I don't know, I think it's exciting. That's kind of it. Anything else?
I think I think that's it. It's probably a shorter one today, which is probably
I think it's 40
good.
minutes.
No, that's pretty good still.
So we will, for the next episode, a few ideas that we had. So Hendrik, he wanted to know about some tips and tricks for learning and improving new skills, which I think would be a good thing to touch on. We've been talking about doing something regarding nutrition, a little bit for performance in CrossFit as well. That could be good. And I also think we should just do a general question and answer, just put it out. You can ask any question, what's your favorite pizza topping, that sort of stuff. So I think we might do one of them too. So come up with your fun questions. There'll be a box on Instagram, Facebook.
I do have a heap of training tip ideas that I'm gonna try and shoot over the next couple of weeks and get out to everyone. And
they're
RPE
good.
is one of those. I think there's a little bit of a disconnect with people understanding exactly what they mean and how to
Yeah.
best apply them. So
Which it is hard to understand, but
It is,
like
yeah.
it's because it's
Yeah.
because it's a it's a perceived thing. Like it's not as if there's a correct answer.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they are hard to understand, but I think like a little bit more explanation behind, you know, the thinking behind it would be good. So stuff like that.
that's one thing, yeah.
Yep.
I've got, I don't know, I had a whole list of things. There's a few other good ones in there as well. So.
Yeah. And that will
Yeah.
be on also for you guys listening, if you haven't been looking at the workout notes on SugarWOD, you should. So I don't know if you see like at the bottom of the workout there's a little thing that you can click that says workout notes or athlete notes maybe.
Yeah.
And you click on it and it tells you like basically a rundown of the workout, how it should feel, what weights should feel like. Just so that you can get more out of your workout so that you're hitting the right like stimulus. So check that out on SugarWOD. Yeah, they're super handy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Keep it up.
Whoa.
Keep training.
And let us know what you thought about the podcast episode. So you can either comment on the YouTube video, Neil, that's for you. Give us
Smash that like button.
no, that's not whatever. But or just come and tell us. Like I think it's good to get feedback on if you guys actually, you know, like what we talk about or if we're just, you know, burning your ears. But let us know.
Yeah. No, we look forward to the next
Let
episode.
us know if we should kick Ben off, get someone else in.
We might have to replace Hayley next month because she's on work placement.
No,
So
I'll be here.
I'm not sure when we're going to be able to film that one.
We'll just film. Okay, I've got an idea.
Do a Zoom
I
one.
find a time. No, I find a time to film one with my guest of choice, and you find a time to film one with your guest of choice, and we have.
I've already
a
suggested I
competition.
should have Al on here. We
Okay,
haven't
so
had
she can
Andy on
u-
here yet.
So I'll do it with Andy, and you do it with Al,
Okay.
and we'll have
We'll do a double whammy.
I reckon mine will win.
All right. Well,
But
only
yeah.
one way to find out.
So yeah. Anyway, see you guys next time. Thank
Thanks
you
for
for
watching.
listening or watching.
Do both.
Bye.